Good evening, everyone. It is 8 o'clock, and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Albert Demisio will be leading us.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Rowe.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller.
Present.
Councilman Racy.
Here.
Councilman Porter.
Here.
Councilman Sanders. He's asked to be excused.
Yes, he has asked to be excused. He is at work today, and I ask for a motion to excuse.
I'll make the motion to excuse Councilman Sanders.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then
Councilman Gabriel.
Present.
Councilman Webster.
Present.
You do have a quorum with 6 members present. Item 1 is approve the agenda.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Webster. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 2, city council minutes. Item 2A is revised regular meeting minutes of October 3rd. And on the third page, I listed Mr. Queen as the assistant city manager instead of assistant DPW director. So I made that correction.
Thank you.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Reza, supported by Councilman Gabriel. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 3 is presentations. Item 3A is a presentation by Maxwell Cameron from Wayne Main Street.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Maxwell Cameron. I'm the Executive Director for Wayne Main Street. And first and foremost, I want to inform you guys of some great news. On October 5th, we received notification that our organization received a $2,500 grant from Michigan Realtors. And this is a matching grant through the placemaking program that we applied for and received $5,000 through the Greater Metropolitan Area Realtors. Again, with the original grant, we received the maximum award amount, and with this grant, we received the maximum award amount of $2,500. And with that amount of funding, most of the funds through Michigan Realtors will be dedicated towards placemaking activities in Derby's Alley itself. Some money will be set aside for seating. We had originally written this grant in early August, and so while we appreciate the due diligence of our funder, some of the programs that we wrote for actually were to take place in October. One in particular, our Scarecrow reception in Derby's Alley. So we do plan on utilizing the funds for a Scarecrow reception in which we're going to be able now to afford live acoustic music. Heavenly Hot Dogs will be there. The first 250 voters will receive a free hot dog. We have Dexter Cider Mill providing free cider and donuts to the public, which is amazing. And of course, we're going to have our Scarecrow voting going on. So that it will be taking place Thursday, October 19th. We're asking for approval to use Derby's Alley for that event. The remainder of the funds, we did talk with our funder, and we're able to allocate that money to some other events that we're planning a little further down the calendar. That way, we're going to have some more time to put those together. And by next council meeting, we'll be sharing our plans for a December 2nd event in Derby's Alley.
Okay. Any questions?
Mayor, I didn't
Yes.
catch what time on October 19th.
Oh, I'm sorry. It will be from 3 to 7 p.m.
Thank you.
And when will the announcement of the Scarecrow winner be announced? What time?
At 7.
At 7.
Online voting ends at 7,
At
and the
7,
announcement for the People's Choice also happens right at the end of the event.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes,
Do we need to make a motion
Yes.
for them to use it? Okay.
yes.
So then I'll make a motion for Main Street to use Derby's Alley on the 19th from 3 to, first, their program from 3 to 7. I think that's it.
Support. It's been moved by Councilman Reza and supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any questions or discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item is item 4, requests. Item 4A is a request to declare October 15th through 21st, 2017 as National Business and Professional Women's Week in Wayne. And we do have a number of members here from the Wayne BPW, Beverly Blankertz, Angela McIntyre, Darlene Rosenbaum, Helen Glandon, and Kathy Mahoney. We do have a certificate that we'd like to present to you if you'd like to come up, and I'll read that into the record for you. There's a resolution. Okay. So I'll go ahead and start reading that. This is a City of Wayne resolution. Whereas working women constitute a major portion of the nation's working force and are constantly striving to serve their states and their nation in civic and cultural programs, and whereas major goals of business and professional women are to help create better conditions for business women through the study of social, educational, economic, and political problems, to help them be of greater service to their community, to further friendship with women throughout the world, and whereas all of us are proud of their leadership in these many fields of endeavor, and whereas this is the 89th consecutive year of recognizing Business and Professional Women's Week in the United States, and whereas the City of Wayne, whereas the City Council of the City of Wayne urges all citizens, civic and fraternal groups, educational associations, news media, and other community organizations to join in the salute to the working women of America by encouraging and promoting the celebration of the achievements of all business and professional women as they contribute daily to our economic, civic, and cultural purposes. Now, therefore, I, Susan M. Rowe, Mayor of the City of Wayne, on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Wayne, do hereby proclaim the week of October 15th through 17 as National Business and Professional Women's Week in Wayne. Thank you.
Okay. Very nice. Thank you very much.
The next item is item 4B. This is a request from the Wayne Rotary Club to proclaim October 24th, 2017 as World Polio Day in Wayne.
Move to approve. Support.
It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and supported by Councilman Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Actually, I would like to do a little housekeeping. We didn't make a motion or pass for the business and professional.
Professional women, right.
We did.
Could we do that also, please?
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Porter, I believe. Any discussion? All in favor of National Business and Professional Women's Week?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor of the Wayne Rotary Club proclamation?
We
We did vote on that?
for that, yeah? Yeah. Sorry, we got off a misstep. I
That's okay.
apologize. And wanted official for you. Thank you. You're welcome. Item 5 is business licenses and permits. Item 5A is to approve a materials recovery facility license for Scrap Busters Auto and Truck Parts at 39165 Maple.
Move approval?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Reza, supported by, is it Mayor Pro Tem Miller, I believe, or
It was actually
Mr. Webster?
Webster?
Mr. Webster.
Okay.
Councilman Webster.
Any discussion?
Just for the audience, this is for a renewal form, correct?
Yes. Any other discussions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you. I know it's a crowded room sometimes. It's Keith Butkovich on Second Street. Question, has the water bill been completely paid on this property? Because I know there was a little discrepancy on that. So I figure if that went into the renewal, if that was taken into effect, if it wasn't completely paid in full. It was? But it was overdue at one point? Or a portion of it?
Not necessarily. Through the chair.
No.
Not necessarily.
No, there's a grace period on water bills, so they paid it within that grace period.
Oh, okay, so it
Yeah.
was, but they paid it within the grace period.
That's
so-
correct, Keith, yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Thank you. Sorry.
Any further discussion?
We did vote on that.
We did,
though.
that's-
All right. Thank you. I'm
Sorry about that.
The next item is item 5B. This is approve a materials recovery facility license for Wiser Recycling at 35900 Clinton.
Move approval.
Support.
Motion was made to approve the renewal by Councilman Webster and supported by Councilman Reza. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 6 is ordinances and amendments. Item 6A is a first reading of ordinance number 2017-04, and this is for Chapter 802, Police Alarms.
Chief Masiak will give us a brief overview.
Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, we will.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council.
Good evening.
The alarm ordinance, this has been tossed around a couple times this year with myself and the city manager and some others. Obviously, you're aware that our police department is severely understaffed and we are still handling quite a few calls for service. Over the last 3 years, we've averaged about 464 alarm calls per year. Basically, when we receive an alarm at the station, it's a 2-officer response, so many times, either during the day or at night, we only have 2 one-man cars on the road. They both have to respond to either the business or residence. Officers, when they arrive, they have to get out of their vehicles and physically check the business or residence to make sure that there hasn't been a breaking and entering. A lot of times, if not many of these times, it's a false alarm. There's a problem with the alarm. So the purpose of this ordinance is to hold the business owner or the resident responsible for their alarms, to prevent the false alarms and to basically hold them responsible. There are a lot of communities here in Western Wayne County and throughout the state that have these ordinances in place, and the purpose is to not fine the resident or business owner, but to fix the alarm. So basically what the ordinance says is that the ordinance is measured on a calendar year, January through December. The resident or business owner gets 2, basically what's called free false alarms where they are not charged, anything like that. So what we do is on each false alarm, we'll send a letter to the resident or business owner to let them know, listen, we responded, your alarm was false. And it'll also list the repercussions, what would happen if it continues. After that, if it gets to if the first 2 go through and it's not fixed, the third and thereafter is a $250 fine. Now, this is how we are going to hold those people responsible for this. To put this in perspective a little bit, if you look at I believe it was 2016, we had one business alone that had 25 false alarms through the year. That's very, very high. So when you're talking about the amount of time it takes an officer to check, between 10 and 20 minutes, that's a lot of time patrol officers are off the road checking an alarm that's false. So basically, the ordinance also has what's called an appeal process. If somebody gets to that, gets a $250 fine, and they don't believe that, they believe it was assessed inappropriately or whatever, they can appeal that process, and it will go through the appeal process as stated in the ordinance. So I think this is a good thing. This hopefully, like I said, the main goal of this is to decrease all the false alarms so we can better direct our patrol to the neighborhoods where we need to be.
Is there any discussion of members of
Madam
council?
Mayor, I got a question. When looking at other communities, what were the average fees for surrounding communities for this?
It varied quite a bit. I mean, there were some that, usually it was pretty consistent. The first 2 were pretty much free across the board. There were some, I believe, that were low as 25 for the first one, and there were some but then they were on a scale though. As you get higher, they increase quite a bit. I think one got up to 500. after a couple alarms. So I think that if we had talked, if we stay consistent with this, I mean, really, when you factor in the police response time and, you know, the officers, if you want to say wages or whatever, you know, our response to get there and what it would cost, I think this is reasonable on this amount. But yeah, it varies.
Sure, and I appreciate that, because my concern is, as you stated, one business, 25 in 1 year. If you look at that out of 460, that's a pretty big chunk. And for me personally, I would like to see businesses held more accountable, because at the end of the day, they are responsible for running the business. And also, too, it's a bigger establishment to go ahead and clear out versus a resident. I appreciate the fact that we're obviously trying not to make this a revenue source.
Sure.
But I do believe that the fees should be higher, because, sure, it may not cost that much for the police officer to come out, but really, what's the price tag on a life? Because it could prevent an officer from going to a more important call, especially with their department being as low as it is. I personally would be in favor to see something along the lines of 500 for business and maybe 250 or 100 for a resident. That's my input.
Okay. Anybody else on council?
I got a question
Yes,
for you.
Councilman Rayson.
So Chief, if somebody like goes in their business and they set it off themselves and they call it in, would that count towards that? Or if they call
Well,
it in with a
if they're
certain
able
amount?
to a lot of times they're able to, they set it off, they're able to cancel us before we get there, that wouldn't count.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, as long as we're not, you know, we're
'Cause I know
not
people
there.
accidentally
Sure.
do that
Yeah,
quite
and,
often.
you know, obviously, we'll judge each situation as being, because there's a lot of things that happen, like I said, there's false alarms, and we get called off before we get there, that wouldn't count.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Jeff Wild, Newburgh. A couple questions. So before the alarm goes off, the officers on duty are already working, correct?
Mhm.
And where would the alarm, where would a commercial alarm fit on the emergency chart? I mean, would they leave a real emergency call to go respond to a commercial alarm? Because I know when I owned a building in Garden City, they never came by, and it was across the street from the police department. So they obviously prioritize other stuff. Thank you.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, if, you know, if both cars are clear, they're going to go to the alarm. Obviously, if something more important comes out or an emergency, we're going to respond to that before we're going to respond. It's all basically the hierarchy of the calls for service.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Mr.? Okay. All right then. Anyone else?
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
I was just wondering, speaking about the penalty fee, that the more the false alarms, the higher, when it goes into different brackets, the higher the fee.
And so this is
thought.
just going to be a set fee. So this is going
Yeah,
to
I
be for
know.
every time, but it's obviously be up to council if you wanted to change that.
I would think that as this is our first run at this, that we right now stay at the $250 amount and see where, you know, how many false alarms we do get. And I mean, if there's a person who's got 25 in 1 year still around,
Right.
you know, maybe we have to then think of possibly upping it, and we could always do that at any time.
Right.
Is, Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Is this an extremely pragmatic problem, aside from the separate incident regarding the business with the 25 or more?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you look at, like I said, that's a lot of calls for service, and when you look at, I mean, ever since I've been here for the last 20 years, there's been businesses that have been known to have the false alarms, and you're constantly going on it. So it's taking away from the resource, taking away from the officers typing reports, things like that. So, like I said, the main goal is for the business or
deter.
residents to fix the alarm.
Right.
It's not so much the fee. We want to get them to stop and fix what they need to fix.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
And then on average, how many false alarms are we getting a year here?
Well, like I said, to put in perspective, we go on 464 on average for the last 3 years. Now, to put that in perspective, if you look at our breakings and enterings, in 2016, we had 92. So if you subtracted that from the 464, and obviously, it's not all these breaking and enterings are alarms, because I would have to physically go into each report and see if it was an alarm, which would take me a while to do. I could do that if need be, but we're going on quite a few, I mean, to say the least.
Are most of these calls coming in from monitoring companies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Hi, Phil Wagner from Laurenwood Street. Mayor, I agree with you. The $250 fee seems to be a reasonable one. What I wanted to check in, do I have it right that you're giving 3 grace periods?
Two.
Two.
Be two.
Oh,
The
two,
first 2 are
okay.
free,
Okay.
and then the third one will start the
Okay.
penalty.
If you wanted to up that, I'd say that's being pretty generous.
I think it's reasonable.
If I remember right, please correct me if I'm wrong, the city of Ann Arbor, I believe, gave 1 grace period. And then after that, they charge $100, and after that, I think it was the $250. So I don't know, if you wanted to up the fee, that would be maybe to just give 1 grace period instead of 2. That's what-
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Osborne on Adele Street. Are these, I think he just answered the part of the question, no, these are just coming in from alarm companies that these, responding to, these 425 some alarms? Or are these alarms that some owners have a building, a house, that just, they've extracted it from being connected to a contractor like AT&T, ADT, and just the alarm sounds on the outside, and so you got neighbors calling on those residential buildings that are there. And so I have seen a response over there that they do respond to those. But I could be standing right in front of that building and tell the officer, I've been standing right here with my dog, neighborhood watch, show them your ID, show them there was nothing there. They still want to bring another car and go all the way around the building. That's up to them. I don't think it's a priority in the fact that we're responding to the alarm. We don't want burglaries and things like this, but we have these B&Es, breaking and enterings, we don't need those. People are positive and keeping an eye out for everybody. Definitely the people need to be forewarned that, hey, they got a poor response company and they haven't kept their material up to date. I'm glad the chief police is here to answer those questions, but likewise, it costs a lot of money. Have you noticed your red fire trucks and your rescue wagons going around? That costs a lot of money too. And I think we need to be combined together as one. We're talking about a police response to an alarm, but at the same time, people have these alarm systems that are hooked together. And likewise, we've got a fire truck and a rescue unit coming out when you only need one unit. So I think it should be addressed jointly, study it, and ask your fire chief how many runs. I can go back to maybe 8 meetings ago, and I asked, could you give me the amount of fire runs you have? I have not heard an answer back from our acting fire chief or Strader, so put that on it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Anyone else? Okay, all right. All
I
in
would
favor?
sup-
Oh, we have a motion. Yeah, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
First reading. All opposed? Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Next item is item 7, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Item 7A is to accept the resignation of Edward McMurray from the Housing Commission.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Reza, supported by Councilman Gabriel, with the letter of thanks.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is item 7B. This is to approve the appointment of Kevin Dowd, 4541 Chamberlain, to the Housing Commission to fill the unexpired term of Mr. McMurray until March of 2020.
Move approval.
Support.
It was moved by Mayor Pro Tem, supported by Councilman Porter. Any questions? Was it Porter or was it?
Councilman Webster.
Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
welcome.
Dowd.
Thank you, Kevin.
Item 8 are communications and reports. Item 8A is a memo from the police chief regarding the donation of a treadmill to the police department.
Did you just want to read?
Okay. This is a memo from the police chief. Recently, the treadmill at the police department's fitness room had broken down and could no longer be repaired. The senior service director, Nancy Wojcicki-Knoll, and her husband, Matt, heard about the broken treadmill and recently donated a used treadmill to the police department. On behalf of the members of the Wayne Police Department, I'd like to personally thank Nancy and Matt for their generous donation.
Thank you.
And the next item is item 8B. This is a memo from the police chief and a thank you note from a resident concerning Officer Kyle Talmadge.
And can I read that?
This is from Mrs. Robson to Officer Talmadge. Thank you so much for all your help in resolving my issue at Beaumont Hospital, Wayne, when my husband passed away. Simply listening to my plight was more than, I'm sorry, I can't read it, I'm sorry. Listening to my plight when some of the things were taken from his room. Thank you for your service and to our community.
Thank you.
Item 8C is a memo from the fire chief regarding the 20th annual pancake breakfast.
You want to read it?
Okay. Okay, the Wayne firefighters conducted a pancake breakfast on October 7th from 9 a.m. to noon at the fire station. The event was a huge success. Roughly 200 individuals attended the breakfast this year. This was year 20 that the fire department raised money through the pancake breakfast. Along with all-you-can-eat pancakes, visitors enjoyed Pookie Tea Clown, station tours, raffles, fire safety activities, many giveaways, and fellowship. This year, Sparky the Fire Dog made a comeback with volunteers from the Wayne High School cheerleaders led by Coach John Gridley. We could not continually have such a successful event without the support of the firefighter families working so hard on the donations from our corporate sponsors, Steel Pro and Costco. We also had materials donated from Fresh Choice, Gordon Foods, Quill Office Supplies, and proceeds from the event will benefit the fire department's public safety education program.
Thank you.
Next item is item 8D, the September 30th, 2017 Revenue and Expenditure Report.
Are there any questions? No? Okay.
The next item is item 8E. This is a memo from the Community Development Director regarding the Step Forward Michigan program.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council.
Good evening.
As part of my role as the Community Development Director, obviously I'm always looking at ways to rehab houses, address issues with low to moderate area incomes, areas in the city through our Community Block Grant Program. I had the opportunity to attend an event recently in Lansing. The Department of Treasury, the State Department of Treasury put on a summit, and some of us were invited to attend that. I got some very, very beneficial information for our residents while I was there. There is a program that is offered to pretty much everybody in the state of Michigan that owns a home called Step Forward Michigan. The program offers interest-free loans of up to $35,000. And this money is to assist a homeowner with a delinquent mortgage payment, property taxes, or if they were in a condo association, delinquent condo fees. The really great part about this loan is that these loans are forgivable by up to 20% per year. So if the homeowner stays in their home for 5 years, that full $35,000 becomes forgivable. Obviously, the goal of this is to keep people in their homes. The little there's always something, and it has to be that there has to be a qualifying hardship that this family faces. So some of the examples of that, a job loss that may cause you to default on your mortgage, a medical event, a death, a divorce, or maybe a one-time critical housing repair that has to take place. The other part is that the individual must show that they have the income to maintain the payments moving forward. So there are brochures out in the hallway as you walk in. After today, we'll start having this available, making the information available through our website and promote it possibly through social media so our residents are aware of this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, quick
Yes.
question if I may, through the chair.
Yes.
Is there a way to mail or send out or get more awareness to those that are currently
Awareness,
delinquent?
yes, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. Katie, our finance director, has printed a list for me of our residents in the city. She attended the event as well. Mishta will pay for our mailing. We just have to give them our list, and they're going to do a postcard mailing to every homeowner in the city.
Thank you.
Glad you asked that. Thank you, I forgot.
Thank you.
The next item is item 9, general items for consideration. Item 9A is to approve a general fund administrative services charge to the Wayne Library in the amount of $50,000.
Move approval.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Porter. Are there any questions or discussion?
We just a quick
Yes.
explanation of what this is for the residents.
Certainly. Do you want Katie to do it?
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The administrative service charge is going to help with the general fund that has a deficit right now. It'll cover costs that come from the general fund, such as payroll and accounts payable and different services that we provide for the library, and we haven't been charging in the past.
All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I ask some questions? This charge is for service charges to the library that we've been providing for free previously. Is there anything to verify that $50,000 mark to verify what we're charging them for? How we come about with that 50,000?
Yeah, we have come up with an allocation sheet of a breakdown of the percentages of the different departments and how much that is. And the actual amount was around 115,000 of like what the actual cost would be.
Of the actual cost, so we're only requesting they pay half of it, approximately
Yeah.
half of it. Okay.
Any other questions? No? Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Porter. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Yes.
On the item, do we charge an administrative service charge to other departments? And if so, what are they? All in public? And if you're taking from the general service fund, that's what you, in the way I understand it, is we're gonna charge the library $50,000, so you can take it out of one pocket and put it into the general service pocket. If that's correct, let me know. Be glad to hear from you, because that's the way it sounds. And those other departments, do they get charged it? And seeing that the Wayne Library seems to be one of the most functioning departments there are around here, with volunteers, help, less staff, everything, but they just keep on trucking. And they get grants and they get money and they do this, that, and the other. I think the library is doing a great job, plus I think there's some federal dollars in there, plus the people who support it, they pay membership dues for it. So when you start saying, hey, there's a nice running department over there called the library, let's take some $50,000 off of them. So I'd like to know if you judge any other departments in the same way and revenue sharing off of them.
That information will be provided at the next council meeting.
Okay. The next item is item 9B. This is to approve a memorandum of understanding with the Western Wayne County Special Operations Team.
Hello, Chief.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of City Council. As many of you know, the Wayne Police Department and the City of Wayne is a member of the Western Wayne County Special Operations Team. Basically, it's consisted of 9 different police agencies and fire agencies in Western Wayne County. Long and short, it's the SWAT team that comes out, obviously, if we have a critical incident. So basically what this is since the 30-plus years of the SOT team has been in existence, we've never had a written document or memorandum of understanding. So that was one of the big things that was taken up this year. So that's what you have in front of you. So basically what it is it puts basically the way that the team operates in writing. So there's a clear understanding for everyone involved, the way it works. The MOU has been approved by the city attorney, and it's also made its rounds through the other cities. Has been approved by their councils as well. I believe ourselves and Livonia are the last 2 to approve this.
Move approval.
Support.
It was moved by Councilman Gabriel, supported by Councilman Porter. Any further questions or discussion of the chief? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The next item is item 9C. This is to approve traffic control order number 616.
This is a unique situation. 2 residences on Edmond, it's 4176 and 4184 Edmond. Both their driveways kind of come down to where, at the end of where the apron is there between the sidewalk and the street. It's a very small area. It's not average of what you say where you'd be able to park a car. So what was happening is vehicles were parking there, and actually the vehicle that parked there would block both driveways at the time. So we kind of studied it, and it looked like the sign was the best way to solve this problem. So I'm recommending putting a no parking sign there between driveways to address the situation.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
It was moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any question or discussion? No?
Well,
Yes.
I'll talk to you about that after there's some circumstances I can tell you about it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Item 9D is to approve the closure of 2 inactive accounts at Chase Bank.
Motion to approve.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Porter, supported by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any discussion or questions? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item is added item 9E. This is to approve the appointment of Mayor Rowe as the city council's designee to address union grievances that reach the council level.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Webster, supported by Councilman Porter. Any discussion or questions?
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
I would just ask that the council as a whole be kept informed of it at every step of the way
Yes.
during this process through
Yes.
you.
If I'm ever called upon, yes, I will. Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
The next item are citizens' comments or requests on items not on the agenda. Citizens are to limit their comments or requests to 3 minutes. The city council asks that if you do have a question or concern, bring it to the attention of the appropriate departments whenever possible. If you feel that the matter has not been resolved satisfactorily, you are encouraged to bring it to the attention of the city manager. And if still not resolved satisfactorily, to the mayor and the city council. The mayor, the city council, and the department heads may not respond to questions at the meeting, but will respond by the next city council meeting or as soon as possible once they have looked into the matter.
Is there anyone? Yes. If you would come up to the podium, please.
My name is Carol Rooney, and I live on Ash Street, and I've lived there a very long time. I would like to make some remarks about our Mayor Rowe, and I'm addressing my remarks to the mayor and the councilman, the city manager, and the city attorney. First of all, before I voted for Mayor Rowe, I wanted to know what she did for a living. What was her occupation? Because many times when we meet people, we want to know two things about them. What do you do and where do you live? So I learned that she was hired by the University of Michigan in Dearborn for their University Relationships Department and the Government Relationships Department. So I thought to myself, to be hired by the University of Michigan, you had to be very qualified. I think that's a very difficult job to obtain. And so that left an impression on me. If she was hired by the University of Michigan for university relationships and government relationships, therefore she must be qualified to be mayor. After the election, I had several conversations with the mayor, and during those conversations, I learned that she had goodwill towards her colleagues, towards the citizens of Wayne, and that she wanted to do, in her thinking, she wants to do what is best for the city. And she's willing to listen to both sides. I'm really impressed with her remarkable professionalism. I really am. And I wanted to make those comments this evening. Concerning our councilman, I'm sure that the reason that you're here tonight is because you care about the city. I was thinking you could have joined a Tuesday night bowling league, so you could have joined a book club on Tuesday night. You could have played poker on Tuesday night, but you chose to be here. So I think the fact that you're here, actually we're known by our deeds. The fact that you're here tonight, the councilman and the city manager and the city attorney, means that you care about the city. And I don't know who said this, but someone said, united we stand, divided we fall. So we should all stand together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next person? Yes, Albert?
Yeah, I got a shirt here.
Started off there.
There we go.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. Mayor and council, I'm really glad to be able to address you tonight. And this is for the 2017 Friends Project. We painted a house at 34009 Haroon Street this past summer for a resident who was in need. This was our 20th house that volunteers and donors have been able to help a resident in the city of Wayne. Passed around the book there to you as far as pictures before and after. We have a display out in the hallway here, so people, if you're out in the audience there watching on TV, just come on down to City Hall to take a look at the pictures and that. I wanted to say that we had 60 volunteers the day of the painting, and we had Representative Robert Kosowski come out, and he presented a flag to the homeowner for his house after the painting there. And he also, Representative, has sent certificates of recognition for the junior ROTC from Wayne Memorial High School recognition that I'll be passing out for him at the high school on Friday. I wanted to take just 1 minute, I do have a minute and a half left, as far as to recognize the committee Ed McMurray, Ed Queen, John Racy, Nancy and Matt Noel, Steve Davidson, Juan Bradford, Lori McGowan, and we also had Susan Rowe, our mayor, was helping us with the project. It took a lot of people to do this. We raised $2,750 from donations throughout the city, businesses and individuals, and we spent $1,715 as far as to paint a whole house and to do the repair beforehand on it. We got many donations from businesses, and that's why we're able to do the project with so little of funds. All the funds were donated to the project. There were no funds that were used from taxes or anything that was collected in the city. I better put my glasses on. I can't see this stuff here. But we had the Wayne Beautification Committee, Wayne Memorial High Junior ROTC, and these are all people that donated funds or donated services. 22 seconds. First Congregational Men's Club. We had Global Realty, Bud Hilliard, Paul Russo, Wayne Industries, Vern Amos, Councilman Porter. We had Councilman Chris Sanders, Boise Cascade, Jetway. Let's see, Judy Arthur Grinnell, Donna McEachran, former council, and Mayor Pro Tem. Consumers Power, Lori Gowan, Matt, thank you very much, Miller, for the donation. Law Auto Sales, we had the Wayne 100 Club. My wife gave money too on this, so she wanted to get me out of the house. But anyway, Hype, CRG, Mans Lumber, Stenco Construction, Napolitano Construction, Ed Queen, Little Caesars up on Howe Road there, Northside, Jack Sports, Wayne Dairy Queen with the dilly bars. And we had Susan and Ed Rowe as far as make a donation. Wimsat Lumber, and Matt and Nancy Noel. And did I just make it?
A little longer.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Judy Pullins. I live at Newberry Square Apartments. I'm not up here to complain or gripe for myself. I'm doing it for the people in wheelchairs at Wayne Towers. The city of Wayne has the worst sidewalks I have ever seen. I mean, I lived in Westland most of my life, and they had somebody that would come around, and if your sidewalk was up just a little teeny bit, they'd tell you to get it fixed. If you didn't get it fixed, they fixed it and they put it on your taxes. Because a little old lady by the name of Edith, where I live, she was in her wheelchair and she hit some of the uneven things and it almost knocked her out of her wheelchair. I'm, just asking, do something with them sidewalks. I have fell twice on uneven cement. Cracked a rib once, and I cracked my wrist once on a sidewalk.
Okay, well, Judy, if you could, is Ed Queen here tonight? No, he's not. If you could give some of the addresses or the locations of the specific sidewalks to the city manager, she would be happy to pass that along to Mr. Queen and have him look at it, because they are starting a sidewalk repair, program throughout the community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Borgi?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Just want to let people know that I have some recall petitions available to sign after the meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Amos?
Vern Amos, I'm in Stellwagen and Wayne. I would like to urge City Council to adopt one weekend a month for the recycling center. I've heard nothing but complaints throughout the city since we moved it, that it's not that accessible, and a lot of people are complaining that they can't get there during the regular week because of the hours. Second of all, along with Bob Borgi here, I'd like to let certain council members and members know that the recall petitions are going well, and if you want to save my feet, you can step down now. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Blackwell?
Inmate 666, 24/7. At the last council meeting, I directed the mayor to require the city attorney to answer an easy yes or no question. Instead of the easy answer, the response was a typical political waltz as she danced right around the answer to avoid actually responding to the correctness of the two constitutions on the list. The question was, are the 4 laws that were cited on a sheet of paper which was placed before the council and the city attorney in fact correct? The 4 items were the Constitution for the United States of America, the Constitution for the State of Michigan, the Open Meetings Act of Michigan, and finally the Charter for the City of Wayne, all of which are the laws that are in place to control our government and not to control the people. Instead of addressing the question placed before her, the attorney cherry-picked the 4 laws by conveniently skipping the controlling law of the land, the Constitution for the United States of America, which states, and I quote, Article 6, Section 2, shall meaning mandatory, shall be the supreme law of the land and the Constitution of the State of Michigan. The attorney went directly to number 3 on the list, the Open Meetings Act of Michigan. Yet again, she conveniently began cherry-picking the OMA. In an attempt to justify her worth, she read a lot of superfluous opinions of an attorney general regarding the OMA in hopes of losing the attention of the people in this matter. Those opinions were neither required nor asked for. What was required was for the attorney to inform you and the people of the city of Wayne that the laws cited were correct as they pertain to the people's rights of unlimited free speech. Opinions of the Attorney General are not law. They are advisory only and are not binding in any court of law. In reality, it goes without saying, the laws are correct because they are the supreme laws of the land. However, some of the council seem to be oblivious or are reluctant to adhere to our constitutions and consistently violate them. You seem to have forgotten your constitutional oath of office, and I quote, I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. The sole purpose of the Constitution is to control our government, not the people. The attorney also conveniently skipped the following section of the Open Meeting Act. Nothing in the OMA prohibits a public body from adopting an ordinance, resolution, rule, or charter provision that requires a greater degree of openness relative to public body meetings than the standards provided for in the OMA. And finally, the City of Wayne Charter, Section 7.4, all regular and special meetings of the council shall be open to the public, and rules of order of the council shall
This is the
provide
3-minute mark.
that
Mr. Blackwell,
provide
please end your
citizens,
comments.
that citizens shall
Mr.
have a
Blackwell.
reasonable opportunity to be heard. You
Please
just
sit
gave
down.
Mr. Demetrio 45 additional seconds. I'll leave you with this, and you can turn the egg timer off, Mr. Miller. When people fear government, there's tyranny. When government fear people, there's liberty. Thank you.
Mr. Blackwell. I hope you have fun on Halloween. Your time is up, I'm sorry.
I wanted to address in accordance with your perception of me. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Item 10 are the items for the next, oh, I'm sorry.
Who else? Mr. Powell?
Lenny Powell, Howell. We got 3 things coming up at Hype. One is a vendor show, Saturday, 10 to 2. And then in 2 hours after that, 4 to 7, we're going to have a chili cook-off. And that's open for everybody. And then the following Friday is the Halloween walk. We expect somewhere around 2,000 people. We're going to have food trucks out there. and we now got 35 tables.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Powell. Is there anyone else that wishes to state anything? Yes.
Same person, same address. Okay, as we are awaiting to hear, just come back next meeting, you'll have the answers, so I'm still waiting. On behalf of what the rest of the citizens that I met up at the place where we have the recycle, it's not very favorable, okay? It's not a joke up there, the people that are up there. While I was there, it's so controlled, they didn't even have a chance to ask other people that were up there that they didn't bother even go in the building, because the sign, as you open the gate, that sign that says must be a citizen of Wayne and show your ID, go over to this building. It's when the doors are open for the trucks to go back and forth, can't see them. So just pretend that you're going up there yourself, so you can't see it. I, like many others, and in my neighborhood, you got to put somebody there. The bulk waste, it's going to be going to Westland. You may not have refrigerators and the regular dump stuff, but people are not too happy with it. Now, too bad Mr. Queen is not here. I'd like to give him an award. It took 4 consecutive garbage days for Allied Waste. Those are those blue trucks that are subcontracted by Republic Waste, so you owned up to it by somebody questioning you over here. Maybe Mrs. Pride. What are these blue trucks doing? They don't bother to respond. You give them the call at the DPW, you give them the address, the location, they don't respond. There was a water truck number 10, and he said, hey, took a look at that, Mr. Citizen. This guy from Allied, so this is for you all to hear. This is the City of Wayne number 10 water truck, and he says, take a look at that. Here comes a guy, the Allied waste truck that's empty, and he pulls up to that site, and he goes, oh my gosh, look at that. I got some stuff to pick up. He doesn't move for 15 seconds, but then he pulls out a cell phone. Wow, man, I better call headquarters. And he took only one dump of rolled carpet. I think that guy must have used 9 rolls of duct tape. Okay? So it sat there for another 3 weeks. So when we make calls to DPW for nice blight and beautification, I wish they'd follow up on it. And this little sidetrack that they got with Allied Bulk, they need to review it. I wouldn't even pay them, because our neighborhood looks poor with and you're supposed to coming back with our answer about,
This is the
remember that,
3-minute mark,
yes,
Mr.
I'm using
Osborne.
the 45 seconds off of there. Thank you, sir. Now,
Please end your comments.
Please end your comments.
the subject was the blight. Okay, you were supposed to come back and let us know, come back next meeting, we'll let you know about the leaves, okay? Are you, on what day and
Please.
period you're
Will
gonna
you
stop
please
that?
sit down?
Thank you, now you can, what?
Please sit down. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I like the way you're dressed tonight, too.
Thank you.
I would like to address the people of Wayne through the chair.
Yes.
In these troubling fiscal times, we need some leaders to step up and just be frank with the people. And right now, we just need someone to reach out to the people and just say that we're going to figure this recycling thing out. It's a work in progress. We can't afford to give everything that you guys want right now, but at some point we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it convenient, and it's probably going to be better tomorrow than it was today. It'll be better next week than it is this week. This is the kind of conversation that we ask you guys to have with the people, not to hide behind rules and procedures, because some of the questions are a little tough, or maybe some of the residents are unagreeable. Thank you for that moment. 2 meetings ago, I believe, Anthony Miller made a comment. He implied that somebody, probably within this room, used some kind of slur against him. I don't remember his exact words, but something to do with his orientation. It's a feeling issue, okay? Maybe your feelings were hurt, but at the same time, you were given direction or request from the chair to openly discriminate against residents who were applying for an empty seat based purely upon their political allegiance, okay? That's open discrimination, okay? That came from within. Whether you guys followed it or not, we don't know, but it was out there. It was in the email. It's been FOIA'd. It was been said to anybody that would listen at any various events, okay? That's a travesty. That's what's happening in this city is all this behind the scenes stuff. This is why the people don't trust what you guys are doing. You guys all came in here with great promise of this is going to be a breath of fresh air. The city's just been stunk up for the last year and a half, for however long this council has been together, okay? Just do what you promised to us and work with the people. Don't treat us like we're the outsiders, like we're the byproduct of your job, okay? You're supposed to be residents just like we are, and we ask you to have a heart and look at things through the eyes of a resident, not as a businessman, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Still Keith Mutkovich, still on 2nd Street. I wanted to remind council that there is a rule regarding the 3 minutes that, according to council rules, that also applies to council. And I'm hoping that if a council person in their speaking of 3 minutes goes over that mark, that the city, or 3:45, whatever it happens to be tonight, that the city clerk does attempt to cut them off, just to be fair, and that it is a rule. It wasn't a problem the last time since it's been more strict, but I just want to throw that out there to make sure. My next concern, it's a question that I'm sure is going to be answered at another meeting. If there's been any offers on the WABC building, the old senior center, whatever it's officially called? I know it's been listed with Colliers, or is in the process. I don't know if it has officially been listed. I know we had the contract and all that. I want to know if in this time period, even before the listing, if there's been any offers. Because my concern is we had an offer. It went up to council. It was voted down. One council person said they didn't like the price and they'd consider buying it themselves. I wonder if that council person has made an offer for that building, if they're going to make comments like that, because I thought it was a good deal. I mean, right now the building's just sitting there and we have to maintain it. We have to plow the snow when it snows. We have to do the sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's costing us money. I do have a question about the ethics committee, ethics board, ethics policy. Do we have one? I think I asked that before. I don't know if that's in the report from the city manager or otherwise. And I'd like to know, if we don't, why not, and if something's going to be done about it. I know a couple council people have mentioned it in the past that we should have a board, policy, ethics, etc. So I'm wondering if that's going to be worked on. I'd also would suggest, because we bring up questions that will be answered at another meeting, some questions I know take more than 2 weeks to answer. If there's a way in the council packets where we could generally say, under the city manager's report, okay, city manager will answer a question that this person asked about that, rather than us taking some of the time here to state it, considering it may be on the report and we don't know it, because when I see the packets, I just see the line, city manager's report, or whatever it's officially called. And I'd like to know if there's a way in the packet to say, these are the questions I'm going to answer, the resident's question, this is what I'm going to answer, this resident asked about this, and so on, just so we know that it's going to be answered and not have to spend time here speaking. And that's about all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bukovich. Anyone else? No? Okay.
All right, the next item is item 10, items for the next agenda.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to request, if I have any support on this, to take a look at the council agenda format again, and possibly moving up administration reports prior to comments from citizens, because I do feel that some of it does get a little repetitive, and I think that will help out.
Okay.
I move to support that.
Okay. All right, then. We'll put that on the next agenda. Anything else, Councilman? No? Okay. I would just like to request that,
There's a motion and a second.
yes, I'm sorry.
regarding
Do we need a motion?
I didn't
With
think
it
we
being-
needed,
that. It isn't. It's not necessary. When you list them, we do call them out, but I didn't know
Right.
if he was making a motion to change the rules or not. I don't know.
do you want to change it tonight, or?
I believe we
or
should
for
have
the
a
next-
discussion before we
Okay.
decide on changing.
Okay, all right, then, so just have it on agenda discussion for the next meeting? Okay. Okay.
Can we make a motion right now to change it, or does it have to be on the next agenda through formality purposes?
According to the rules, the purpose of having it on the next agenda is that so the other colleagues would be able to think about what you were trying to get accomplished. So that's why that portion was added to the agenda in the first place.
Right.
So.
So I would suggest we would just have it on the next agenda.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. I'd like to ask if we could please have a listing of all the people that have applied for the Ethics Committee. We had asked people to submit applications, and I don't know if we have had any applications submitted yet.
I think 3 or 4. So.
Okay. Okay, and that's it? Okay. Next item?
The next item is item number 11, consent calendar. There are 4 items before you.
Receive and file.
All in favor? I'm sorry, support?
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Gabriel and supported by Councilman Webster. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is item 12, administration reports.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'll try to go through these. I don't think I can do it in 3 minutes, Keith, but I'll do my best. Put a lot on me tonight. As far as the one question I wanted to ask is, I did have a question prior about the, why the videos were not on this agenda. Matt, myself, we have just did not have time in the last 2 weeks. We apologize. We just need a little bit more time to make sure that we have a good, representation of everything we want to present to you as options. So we'll have that at the next meeting. Jeff was able to locate on a laptop a handful of videos. We can certainly reload those, but right now we're just following the 90-day rule until council makes a different decision. But nothing's going to be deleted until, the council makes a final decision at the next meeting.
Okay.
So, I do have a couple of actually good things to report, and then I'll get into the recycling center too, because that was one of the items I know that's come up at a couple meetings. The ladder truck, I know that one of the items we've been talking about, and I did let council know earlier that we did have a group drive in from Minnesota to look at the ladder truck yesterday, and they are making us an offer on our ladder truck. So it is our hope that we can get out of that debt obligation ASAP. Their council is making a decision next week, and then we should be able to present it to council here very soon. And I want to thank the council actually during our budget sessions for being so supportive of that, moving that forward. So thank you. The mayor, you can certainly talk about this, but I just wanted to report out that the mayor did ask for a 436 review of the city's finances through the Michigan Department of Treasury, and we are waiting to hear back from Treasury on that. What that is that the city is going to be submitting a fiscal deficit of $541,000, and we are now hitting that point where Treasury does need to make a decision whether or not they're going to come in and help the city make recommendations or what they're going to do. So we're waiting to hear back from them. So, Mayor, you can certainly speak on that during your comments if you please. It was necessary, though, unfortunately. DTE's contractor was in today. We actually saw them out there. They were fixing the lights that have been out from the, when we had the LEDs changed out, or lights changed LEDs. So we're hoping that Corby's, you won't see a DTE truck, you'll see a contractor truck. And I think it's, Lori, is it Corby Energy Services, CES. So you'll see trucks out there that say CES on the side. Those are actually contractors for DTE, so they're moving on that. We are asking for 4 different grant opportunities in council. I had to add one more, and I'll tell you why. The Fiscally Distressed Cities, Townships, and Villages grant application opened up. That's where we received the LED lighting grant last year, or earlier this year. I applied for 4 different grants. One was for a new ambulance. The second one was to actually pay off the ladder truck debt, which is about $584,000. But if we sell the truck, I can actually take that one off. So I added another one. We are asking for 2 officers for 2 years for $390,000, and we are asking for master plan and ordinance revisions review, because we're going to need to have the master plan reviewed here soon, and we're going to need to have our ordinances reviewed here soon. We don't have the money. It's estimated to cost about $110,000 to do both, so I'm going to add that to the mix, and I have to have that in by Friday. So I want to thank Lori actually for her help gathering that information so quickly so we could put a replacement in. So we'll be asking for approximately just around $1 million in grant funding. We will find out about that in February, what we received. The sidewalks, actually that was on my list because that's been brought up to me a couple of times. The Buildings and Engineering Department and DPW are putting together a list, and they are going to start sidewalks, fixing our worst sidewalks in the spring of 2018. There will be about 75 to 80% of the sidewalks fixed from a list that's been growing since 2008. So fingers crossed, we'll get the ones that you brought up fixed, but still bring them to my attention because I want to make sure. The recycling center, I'm glad that's brought up. We're testing this out. We had so many problems with people dumping in there. We had so many problems with people loading couches in there, refrigerators in there, everything you can imagine, vegetables, fruit, things that don't belong in the recycle bin. We had no ends of complaints from people that would go to the recycling center and say, there's no room. We have no room. We have no space. We have, what can we do? We'd have to take somebody off of the DPW crew, sometimes 2 people, and they would have to go empty those bins out and go through that recycling. And it happened all the time. I can't take somebody off to do that when their responsibility is water and sewer and roads, because we have to pay them out of the general fund at that point. So basically, we moved the recycling center to try to keep track of the illegal dumping that was going on, number 1. But number 2, I have to, we'll work on this, as Jeff as Mr. Wild had asked, but the thing is that we can't have volunteers opening that up because of liability on the weekends. And the other thing is that I have to pay a crew member overtime, time and a half, to come in on a weekend to run that recycling center. We don't have the money, folks. We simply just do not have the money to do things like that. I cannot spend that money out of the general fund right now. I have got to be cognizant of the fact that we're trying to save money. We're trying to hire officers. We're trying to do the best that we can with very, very, very limited resources. And so right now we'll monitor it. We'll see what works. We'll do our best to, keep track, but please be patient with us as we try to find, some common ground and a happy medium moving forward. But I do thank you for the information and the feedback. I want to thank the council because despite what some are thinking, we are working very hard on the budget together. That is something that we are working very hard on. We've made recommendations. We've been meeting, we've been talking, we've been exchanging ideas. The council's given me some excellent feedback. All 7 have given me excellent feedback on ideas, and we are doing everything we can to move some of these items forward. One of the things was going back and charging. Yeah, all departments do get charged a certain amount for the city to do their bookkeeping and do their book work. I mean, Plant Moran has to get paid somehow. The auditors have to get paid somehow. So everybody has to share a piece of that pie. So basically, I just want to thank you all, because I know you get a bad rap for that, but we are working very hard on the budget, and I want to thank you for helping me out with that and making decisions. And it's just going to there's going to be a lot more decisions. They're going to be tougher decisions, but let's just keep our eyes on the prize, and that is to get the city, financially stable. So thank you. The last thing I just wanted to say is that with regards to the fire department, Victor, I actually have those numbers. The fire department runs about $3,000 per year. And the reason I have that is because I just wrote that grant, and one of the aspects of that ambulance grant was how many runs do you have per year? And it grows between 50 to 100 each year. So they do run quite a bit for a city of this size. I think that was all the items that I had. Unfortunately, Mr. Bukovich, I'm going to leave that ethics question to the council because that is up to them on whether or not they want to move forward, so I'm sorry I cannot answer that for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item are comments from the members of the city council.
Councilman Gabriel?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to start off and just say a quick thank you to a lot of the folks that did interview for the appointment process. I've been seeing a lot of you join different organizations, committees, things like that, and I think it's very positive, and it's really reassuring to see. So please continue doing that. And then also to everybody here, I mean, I don't know how far back I can remember, but I would have to say at least 3, 4, maybe 5 meetings now. We've had a pretty full crowd, and that makes me feel good as well, because it shows that there's more community support going on and more involvement from the residents, which I think is going to be key in trying to find the right solutions to continue our growth forward. I'm almost concerned that we're going to have to get more chairs here, which, hey, be happy to try and find some extra chairs if need be. So I just again want to say thank you to the residents and those that have applied for the council position. And with that, nothing further.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Miller?
Thank you. I just want to encourage everybody to report any damaged sidewalks, as she had indicated earlier. I think this is really important. I see a lot of walking through our neighborhoods, and that is a big safety factor for handicapped, the elderly. And also, I just want to encourage everybody to get on the website, take a look at all the activities that we have going on for the fall here in Wayne, from the Historical Society to what Main Street is providing as well. And to top it off, make sure you vote for one of those scarecrows, because they all look pretty darn good. And with that, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Racer?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I wanted to say I have also got some complaints about the recycling center. I've got some emails and people contacting me about that, just to make you aware of that. The fire breakfast was great again, and the flea market and artisan sale, all those things were great to see that happening in our downtown last week. Do you want to bring everybody's attention the First Congregational Church Santa season on November 2nd and the 3rd? They're going to have their annual church fair. That's to me, it's the beginning of Christmas whenever the Congregational Church does that. And if you like good food, this is the place to go. Everything that they do is great, and their candy, it's definitely worth going to if you've never been to it. So I definitely encourage that. Did want to ask, I was noticing driving in tonight, if we could double check on Sims to see if DTE changed those to LEDs. It looked like those were not changed, and I just caught that as I was driving in today. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, in Rotary today, we had Beaumont come, and they gave us these little bracelets. And one of the new things that Beaumont is working on to work with the community is with their staff and to the patients is this says, "I have with skills," and Beaumont, and it's because they want to work with the patients, they want to work with the doctors, they want to work with the administration. And I also thought this was a great little slogan for our city, that we should be all trying to work and have with skills, working together with our administration, working together with our residents. So I gave one to all of our council and everybody up here tonight, so thank you.
Councilman Webster?
I first wanted to start off by congratulating Fred Gilsdorf on his promotion to the fire chief for, is it Pennsylvania, I believe?
Peninsula, Michigan.
Peninsula. It's a big loss for us, but I'm very happy for him, and I know he's going to do great things for them. Also wanted to talk about the Hype Winter Basketball League. That's going to be starting in November. If anybody has any questions about that, please contact Mike Darwich at 313-436-0043, extension 122. And the final thing, people talk about, there's not enough communication with the council. There's two big things that are kind of been going on, and Tom actually put it on his Facebook page the other day about the selling of the parks. So if anybody has any opinions on that, there was a lot of good discussion on there, but I would definitely like to hear more from everyone here and people that are watching at home. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Dorsey Schools for having the mayor and John and I up to the a ribbon cutting for their nursing school now. It's a pretty amazing building. I got the tour, and it's really nice looking inside. And the good thing about having a school like that is not all the students carry their lunches. Some of them dine here. They mentioned US 12. They go there. They go to the Avenue. So it's good to have a viable school right here in the middle of our downtown. And the only other thing I have is, if I hear ethics brought up again, and I'm all for it, but as you just heard from our clerk, we only have 3 or 4 people who even bothered to volunteer to be on a committee. If you want an ethics committee, someone step up and take the reins. We'll be happy to. I'm pretty sure that we'll be happy to give you the power to do this, but we need people to do it. We can't. I don't want us to do it. That would be ridiculous, having us set our own ethics rules. So please volunteer. Thank you. Put your name in.
I will tomorrow.
And then thank you.
Are you all through?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. As the city manager mentioned, I did ask that a letter be drafted and sent to the treasurer for the Michigan Department of Treasury, and that letter was sent. And I'll just read you parts of it. Basically, it states that further, we respectfully inform you that in May of 2017, the Wayne City Council passed its budget for the upcoming fiscal year ended June 30th, 2018. This approved budget forecasts that the general fund will end fiscal year 2018 with a deficit of fund balance totaling $541,065. Passing a budget that results in a deficit of fund balance is a violation of the Uniform Budgeting and Account Act, which states the total estimated expenditures, including an accrued deficit in the budget, shall not exceed the total estimated revenues, including an available unappropriate surplus. It also goes on to require the chief administrative officer of the municipality present to the governing body recommendations. If adopted, that would prevent expenditures from exceeding revenue for that fiscal year. Due primarily to the injunction noted below related to the city's retiree health care costs, to date, the city of Wayne has not been able to identify realistic revenue enhancements or expenditure reductions that would rectify this situation. This failure is a clear violation of the Michigan MCL 141.435, Section 17, which is one of the indicators of probable financial stress. As you are aware, the city of Wayne has experienced declining revenue from both state and local sources and increased cost, especially in the areas of pensions and health insurance. This has resulted in declining fund balance for the last several years. The city's 2017 fiscal year budget for the general fund, pension contributions, and retiree health insurance benefits totaled approximately $4.2 million. The cost for retiree health insurance continued to increase with the new renewal rates for health insurance in January of 2017, showing an increase of 20% across all retiree groups, all which would eventually be passed through to the retirees, as the city's contribution toward retiree health care was capped at 70% of rates as of September 1st, 2016 by the City Council's action. In April of 2017, the City of Wayne Council voted to remove the retirees to a stipend plan through individual health reimbursement accounts, effective July 1st, 2017. Moving to the HRA was estimated to result in an annual savings to the city of approximately $1.5 million in fiscal year 2018. On June 30th, 2017, the Wayne County Third Circuit Court Judge John Murphy ruled in favor of the retirees, and the city was forced to reinstate retiree health care through an injunction. and that was the city paying 70%, retirees paying 30%. If the city is required to reinstate health
This
insurance...
is the 3-minute mark.
If the city is required to reinstate health insurance benefits for retirees at 100%, the city's deficit of fund balance would rise to an estimated $2.0 million for fiscal year 2017 to 2018. With an ongoing annual budget deficit, the city will be forced to decrease the amount of funds available for basic services, including police and fire protection, which are already below minimum standards. The city of Wayne continues to remain in a fight for its survival. We are losing ground quickly. We believe a financial review as prescribed by Public Act 436 of 2012 will easily demonstrate the magnitude of the trouble the city is in. Thank you for your time and consideration. We look forward to hearing from you and working with the review team. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at 722-2001. Sincerely, Susan M. Rowe, Mayor, City of Wayne. Okay, if no more questions or comments from council, motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion adjourned.
Or
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.